So good evening. It's very nice to see you again. And we will continue from where we were left last time. So I will just share my screen. And I hope you will always interrupt me whenever you have anything to ask. So let's make this more interactive in every sense. So last time, I'm just admitting new people in. So last time our topic was just basic introduction, but do you see now that I changed the slide? Can you see it? That we have the schedule of workshop?
Yes.
Yes, good, because last time we didn't have it. It didn't work in the beginning, but now it's okay. So today we are going to focus on the origins of this notation type. So I will have some historical part for the beginning, and then we will continue singing. So just to keep you updated on what we are going to do during these workshops, we are now in the second workshop, origins of the notation. And here we go. So I would like to tell you something about the beginning, because this Eastern Orthodox tradition of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the previous Kievan Rus lands, the Western Rus, is really interesting in the sense that there are really few manuscript sources preserved from after the Kievan Rus principalities period. So we know that church chanting in this region was pretty much the same as it was in the eastern parts of Slavic lands, like contemporary Russia. And this tradition was called the Znamenny tradition, which meant that they, when the rulers of Kiev, Prince Volodymyr and his descendants accepted Christianity in its eastern form. Quite soon after that, during the 11th century, translations were made into Church Slavonic from Greek, and chant tradition was adapted from Byzantine chant to a local variant, which became called the Znamenny tradition. And it differed from the Byzantine chanting. It was based on the Byzantine models of that period, but pretty soon they started to develop something of their own, very unique chant tradition that we call the Znamenny. So in this region, we know that the chanting was conducted according to this chant tradition, the Znamenny tradition, from the 11th century up to the 16th century and afterwards, of course. But we don't know how they, what kind of notation they used. We are pretty certain that they used the same notation type like in the eastern parts of the Eastern Slavic lands, which was the Znamenny notation. Znamenny means just a sign, a neum. So it was a standard name for pneumatic notation. You can see in the image here some of that notation type. So the big mystery is how come from this region we have only a few manuscripts, chant manuscripts preserved, which can be dated and which can be attributed to this specific region. There are just a couple of those. Maybe there were historical reasons. A lot of wars have been taking place in the Eastern Central Europe. Maybe they have been destroyed. Maybe they have been just taken to somewhere else. So, but even so, we know that the pneumatic manuscripts from this region are really few. And what we have, for instance, in this example, is this is actually from the late 16th century, this illustration here, and it is an Irmologion type of manuscript from the monastery of Lavrivshiv, And this is the notation type is really a standard znamenny notation of the 16th century. And so we know that between the Eastern and Western Rus, if we call them that way, there was exchange of manuscripts, and people moved to one place to another and took their skills and took maybe their manuscripts with them, and so you know how it goes. There was a lot of interaction between different regions, and that's why we can see that the Slavic tradition was really quite unified. Meanwhile, you know what happened in the Moldavian lands and lower down, the Byzantine notation was used there. So the big dividing line, or I don't want to call dividing line, but the distinction between the Slavic lands and the Balkans was based exactly from the perspective of music on the use of notation. Towards north, it was the znamenny type of notation, and south, it was the Byzantine notation. And thus we can see also the chanting in the northern part of the Eastern Slavic lands was based on the znamenny chant, and on towards the Balkans, it was the Byzantine chant. So what we can maybe what kind of interpretations we can make of the lack of sources. It has been estimated that the Ruthenian tradition was quite oral. So there were written manuscripts, of course, text books, but how they were chanted, it was most likely based on oral tradition. So oral transmission from one generation to another was the predominant way of passing on this knowledge of the chant tradition. But what is really interesting, and here we come to our topic, is that in the 16th century, the late 16th century, at the same time as, for instance, this manuscript, which we can see here on the slide, was produced, at the same time there was a new notation type developing and being used in manuscripts. So at the same time there was pneumatic and square notation used in different manuscripts. So from the late 16th century, we have the earliest square notated manuscripts. From the 1590s towards the early 17th century. Two are really famous. The Lviv Irmologion, which is dated to the last decades of the 16th and early decades of the 17th century. It has been published as a facsimile publication, critical edition by Yuri Yasinovsky, who is really the grand old man of research on Ruthenian Irmologion tradition and notation and chant, and the Supras Irmologion. Supras is a monastery nowadays in northeastern Poland, which for a long time was considered the oldest square notated Irmologion, and it has also been published in facsimile version and in transcript in the Kievan Christianity book series, which is published in Lviv. Okay, so two really famous square notated manuscripts we know, and we're going to sing from some of the early ones. Okay, then about the question of where did it come from? How come the Ruthenians, where did they pick up this new tradition when they were so fixed in using the pneumatic notation? There are theories that this new notation type was based on different types of Western and Eastern notation types. There is a scholar called Rimma Pospielova from Moscow who argues that on the basis of the square notation, there were three types of notations, namely the old pneumatic znamení notation, the Western mensural notation, meaning that the rhythm or the length of the notes is precise, and of course the Latin choral notation, the Roman type of notation. And of course, putting notes on 5 lines is certainly a sign that Western influence has been taken by the Ruthenians. What we can see, of course, is that the Ruthenians never, or really late towards the 19th century, started to use bar lines in their chant. So chant is always written without any strict measure. But the length of the notes are of course fixed, as we saw already last time. Some interesting graphic comparisons have been made, for instance, between the Ruthenian square notes, the quarter note, the quarter note, and the, sorry, I've made a mistake, half note and the whole note. I should have written here. And they are compared with the pneumatic notation signs called stopitsa. You see here is a hook or a little foot to this side, but stopitsa goes there. So it might have been like written like to another direction. And the 2 dots of the whole note are quite similar looking as the Slavonic znamení sign called statia. And the length are also similar. So stopitsa is usually interpreted as a half note and statia as a whole note. So it's possible that they just thought of taking a 5-line stuff and putting pneumatic signs there, and gradually working from them this kind of Western-looking notation. We don't know when this happened. It's still a mystery, because the manuscripts produced towards the late 16th century, they are already quite high standard. So it's not possible that they were invented in the last decades of the 16th century. It must have been a living tradition which was used by many people before these actual manuscripts were written. So here we see an example of this oldest Lviv Irmologion from the late 16th century. You can see the notation, the half notes are really like hooks, quite basic hooks and dots placed on 5 lines. So we can say that the general evolution of the pneumatic notation was from these hook type of signs towards full squares, as we saw already last time, and we will see also in the printed versions that it becomes more even, it becomes much more squarer towards the 18th century. Also, the early manuscripts use quite a large variety in clefs. So not only placing the C or the letter C usually on the middle line, the alto clef, they place it on other lines as well. And this has probably something to do with general transition from chants which were not based on major or minor thinking, as you know, from modal tradition towards tonal tradition, which is exactly this transition period of the 17th century. Also, what can be seen in the old manuscripts is that the note lengths are generally longer than in later produced manuscripts. They use quite a lot of half notes and whole notes, and even longer, and not generally like eighths are not met at all, or 16th, that's completely impossible in these early 17th century manuscripts. I show you an example of the great Supras monastery, Irmologion, which is great in the sense that besides being one of the first, it is beautiful. I mean, it has these Balkan type of decorations, and it is very colorful in part, and part of it is really really not very carefully done. So the Supras Irmologion is a combination by many authors, but what we know about this first and earliest author, we know that we can date this Irmologion exactly to 1598 to 1601. So you can see here the clef is here on the 4th line, and you can also see a flat sign marked next to the C. So we can interpret that door was located here on the 4th line, and we have the flat B one step lower. And you can see the notation, the note signs that were used: half notes, whole notes. Nothing, no quarters, no eighths, nothing like that used. So at its very simplest level, this was these are the earliest examples of this notation type. Okay, so during the 17th century, the notation is standardized by using it. It's been estimated that more than 10,000 manuscripts have been written in this notation. Preserved number is much smaller. I think it was like 1,500 or something. That has been preserved in different archives and libraries. But as we come to the 18th century, the first attempts to print the notation are made, and the earliest printed Irmologion with using this kind of notation is from 1700 and 1709, and both printed books are made in the city of Lviv. And here you can see an image of the first, the earliest one. And here you can see the evolution of the signs. They are really, really square already. No hooks, no small dots, but really even sign. Of course, they are, by printing, it's possible to make them. And this was the notation which was then accepted in the Muscovite Rus in Moscow and in all the Muscovite church, to the extent that very quickly during the first half of the 18th century, this notation started to replace the old pneumatic notation. And in the 1770s, the Holy Synod, which replaced the Patriarch of Moscow in the 18th century, printed chant books, which became the canonical books of Orthodox chanting in the Russian Orthodox Church, and they still are considered as the original sources of their chant tradition, and using the Ruthenian invented square notation. Okay, that's it for history. Do you have anything to ask? Anything you would like to clarify more? Or we continue? We continue to practice, which is the purpose of the workshop, of course. Okay, so I've chosen 3 exercises. Like last time, we had also time for 3, so I hope we can make them. One is from printed source, and the others 2 are from manuscript sources. And here in the first example, we have the prokimenon of the great length, turn not away thy face from thy servant. I'm sorry, I don't know how it goes in Romanian, but in Slavonic, nie odvrati lica tvojego. I've written in Latin letters here and indicating the stressed syllables and so on, but I understand that some of you may read Cyrillic, so I hope we can go on here. So being the printed version, the use of clef is already stabilized. So we have the clef or the note indicating do on the middle line, so using an alto clef. And the rest of the notation should be clear. So when it's printed, it's of course based on how well preserved the printed book is, that you can see the stems are at some places not very clearly to be seen, but you can see also always, you can check how the quarters look. They have longer stems and the half notes have shorter ones. So you can make the distinction on that basis. For instance, here we can see a little unclear note, but I would assume that this is a half note on the basis of comparison with these. Okay, so we can start singing, okay? And we can do it so that let's spend just a minute looking at the printed chant, looking at the text, and looking at the notes, checking wherever they might be surprising places. Are there any leaps? Does it go fluently from using only small steps? Here you can probably already recognize something surprising. Here we have shorter notes. Here we have 8 notes, as you can see. But let's take a moment and sing it through, okay? I will just mute myself and start singing. Okay, maybe we gradually start doing it together. So if you remember from last time, we can always start by figuring out how where the door is and how we can make a chord like upwards. For instance, ba, ba, da, 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 could be do, and then we count.
Da.
Would somebody like to volunteer for instance, the first line?
Can you give me the do again?
I would do it like this, for instance. Is it too low for you? You can
No.
pick whichever pitch you prefer.
La la re do si do re la si do si la sol la si.
Very good, thank you.
La.
Thank you. Yes, and you can right away hear that this is a Lenten chant, can't you? It has a unique character, which makes you feel Lenten, at least me. Very Slavonic melody too. Can we try singing it together now with the first line with the words? So nie odvrati lica twojego. And of course, we don't have the lines indicating which syllables go together, but just move on when the syllable changes. So this was the beginning, yes. Okay. Nie odvrati lica twojego. Would somebody like to pick it up from there? No. Where do we continue? We continue here.
La do re mi re do re mi do re do si la si do re do si la so la
Yes.
si so la.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it goes from there. Dun, 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 dun. No, I missed the beginning of the, which was the tone?
La.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay, let's do it from there. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, of course, the phrase continues until oh, here. Okay, so jako skoro uslyši, it continues down. Anyone want to continue from here? Ta-da. Do others want to volunteer?
I will, yeah. If
Okay.
nobody wants to, I can do it. I mean,
Okay.
I hope I can do it.
Yes, please go ahead.
Do, no, si, la, sol, la, si. Do, si, la, sol. Do, si, la, sol, la, si. Do, la, sol. Is that a?
There was
La sol la si la sol la si la
Yes, very good. Exactly. And you can see also in the way of printing this melody, it doesn't make any division of the phrases. So it's kind of confusing that you recognize that obviously here is a like a should be, there would be a bar line at least in
Yeah, there
contemporary.
would be a cadence there, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we start from here. Score. Let's sing together with words. Score blue, score and another phrase starts. Okay, so we are here. Next volunteer, and I think this line would continue until here. So usually always the cadence or the phrase ends with a whole note. So we are here. Whoever wishes to volunteer.
If nobody wants to.
Yeah, please do go ahead. And if you feel you can continue until the end of the end of
Oh,
the
we'll see if I can.
Let's see. Go ahead.
La, do, re, mi, re, do, re, mi, do, si, la, si, do, re, do, si, la, si, do, re, do, si, do, re, mi, re, do, si, do, re, mi, la, si, do, re, do, si, la, re, do.
Yes, thank you very much. So this prokimenon ended here. Here is like the dividing or the,
I
or the
know, but it
conclusion.
feels like it needs to continue.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's a specific feature of Znameni chant actually, that
Really?
it occasionally you expect it to end somewhere else, but it doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, you can call it some kind of an instinct.
Yes. I used to have a choir singing Znameni chant, and there were always those people who would fill in the missing notes.
Well, yeah, I don't mean to be inventive or anything, but it's just, it just doesn't feel like it should end there. So
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Should we try singing it entirely from the beginning to the end and end here? Some do would be here, do. We start here with the words. Nie utraci lica Twojego, o Twojego, jako skórblю, uslyší imię duši oh, sorry. So is born. It's a beautiful melody. Yeah. Okay. So moving on from the printed source towards manuscripts. And now we come to the Romanian manuscripts, because you in Romania have plenty of wonderful Ruthenian / border zone manuscripts. And here we have a manuscript which is preserved at the library of the Romanian Academy of Science. And as far as I can remember, this is a manuscript from the Manyava monastery, which is now in contemporary Ukraine. And here we have the canon for Palm Sunday, the 8th Irmos. So here written Pesn 8 Irmos. And here I have just tried to make it more easy to see the phrases I have indicated with these lines. These are not part of the original manuscript. And also in places where they have where we would pronounce the word differently or pronounce two syllables together, I have just drawn a line. Because here in the Slavonic writing, they use the so-called tvrdi znak, which is like what is the word? The soft sign and the hard sign, which which was probably vocalized in pronunciation at that time, but it's no longer vocalized. So we have a word which corresponds with this one, vsia, but we don't read it vosya or anything like that. We just read it vsia. So this makes one unit, and this makes one unit. But let's first take a look of certain melodic phrases which keep repeating. You can see it in the rhythmical structure already. So for instance, here we have a standard phrase which keeps repeating. You can see dotted structure here, the same here. Does it come up in other places? No. So 2-3 times we have the same kind of melody here. And what else should be noted?
I'm sorry, Maria, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yes,
I cannot really follow. I cannot see your what you're pointing.
Mouse cursor, don't see.
I cannot see where you're pointing.
Oh, right. Okay, but you see exercise 2. But you see the exercise
yes,
2?
we see that, but we see nothing moving on the page.
Oh, I mean, right, this is weird.
We don't see you showing us anything.
Oh,
we hear you.
This is very strange. Okay, it says your screen has been, okay, I will share again. For some reason, it stopped sharing the screen. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Can you see? Okay,
Thank
okay,
you.
now we are back on track. Okay, it fell asleep for some reason. Okay, so we can see these dotted phrases here 3 times. We can see the division of the based on the phrases of the text. We can see where the small cadences as if are, and then here is this vsia, which we see as one unit instead of 2 syllables. But we start singing and it becomes clearer. Too much information now, and it just confuses you. Okay, so where is the clef? Here, of course, we must check out the second line, because the first line starts with a title. So we see this is written quite not so typically. It's written quite high in the sense that it uses the whole scale or the whole staff. and we can see what are the specific features here. Lovely. I don't know how come, maybe this is just a decoration. There's a lovely star here. And usually there are lots of beautiful decorations in these Chan manuscripts. So they are really nice to look at too. Okay, so we go through the first phrase. Veselicia Ierusalimie. Rejoice, Jerusalem. And should we say no, could be like here? I'm just inventing, you know, as probably from your tradition is natural that you can pick whichever pitch you wish, and you can make the melody from there. You are not stuck to the absolute height of the notation. So da do would be the da da. Okay. This
G.
would be the beginning. Do re mi fa sol would be here. Let's take a moment and then please be ready to volunteer. Okay. Okay, let's have the first phrase. Veselicia Ierusalimie, or with psalmization if you wish. Who would like to do it?
Sol, 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 fa, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re. Sol, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, mi, re, mi.
Very good. And now we have the decorative structure here, da, 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 which keeps repeating. So that's like the catching place every time it comes. We know it goes like that because I'd like to say here we have some unclarity with the notation. It looks like it's different, but I would assume that it's the same da, 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 as in the first case. Okay, so we are here. Let's do it together. Veselicia Ierusalimie. Somebody continue. Торжествуйте, would be here.
So, which was the soul?
Da, 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 da. We started from there.
Re, do, re, mi, fa, mi, do. Is that a do?
It looks like it, but I think it's a mistake.
Is it a do dotted?
Because it looks like a dotted do, but it's the same structure as here. So I would say
So it
it's
should be
a
on a
re.
re. Yeah.
Yes.
Do, re, mi, fa, mi, re.
Mi, fa, mi, re, mi.
Mi, re, mi. I didn't see that. Sorry.
Yes. Me. It goes like yes. Yes.
Re, mi, do, re, mi, 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 re, mi, fa,
Where did we end up?
Ren,
Here I would me. If this is me, would it go?
mi, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, re.
Exactly. Mhm.
Re, re, do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, mi.
Yeah, that was the same phrase. Mhm.
Do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, mi, do, re, mi, fa. No,
I would
it's
say here is
re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, re, mi, re, sorry, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do. Is that an
and the
ending?
final is here. Yeah, the final is written with this longer.
Yes, that's what I
yeah.
wanted to ask. What is
Yes.
that sign at the end? Is
Yeah.
that an ornamentation for
That's
the
like
breve?
yeah. It's
Okay.
very commonly with the decoration. Yes, it's made beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, very good. Some note lengths were a little shorter and some a little longer, but we can sing it together now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were do 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 do. So yes, okay. Let's start and try with the words maybe. Veselisia Ierusalimie, торжествуйте, любящей Сиона. Am I right? Correct me. Da 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 da. Oh, na. Yes, do is here. Царствуя веки, Господь сил, приди, да горит от лица. And here I said it's a one unit. Вся земля и допиет благословите вся дела Господня, Господа, пойте и превозносите Его во вся веки. Yeah, it's beautiful, Irmos. Okay, very, very nicely done. And I like the idea that you are now singing from a Romanian manuscript. And here we go, I think, moving even closer to your own tradition. Do you see what I see before me? We have here a Greek hymn written in square notation with Cyrillic letters. We will sing a lot of Balkan chants in the fourth workshop, but I thought this would be a nice thing to sing here, especially because the words are so easy. But about the words, I would like to point out that if you read the Cyrillic here, di, na, mi, s. There's a non-vocal, not a vowel, but I would suppose that they vocalize it here. And actually this is which the Russians would pronounce ye, so ge, but the Ruthenians did it e, as I told you last time. So that's why we say Viki, Vikov, and so on. So a, yi, o, ne, o, os, o, fe. They couldn't write anything else but f, os, and here it's e, not this one again. I, o, ne, o, os, I, schi, ro, s, a, I, o, s, a, fa, na, tos, e, le, I, so, o, n, I, ma, son, I, ma, s. It's lovely. You can just imagine somebody writing, listening to chanters and writing with square notation down these melodies. And these manuscripts, this is also a Romanian manuscript, Slatina 23, and it is beautifully done, a lot of different Byzantine melodies. So where do we start? Here you can see again a clef, but it doesn't look like what we have seen before. So here we see the evolution of the clefs. So it used to be a C, but now they have changed it so that it's like a middle version between the C and just the quarter note. So in essence, this means a quarter note on the middle. So alto clef, quarter note here, and this is just like a tail, a decoration. So we count do here as well as in the previous example.
Okay.
Yes. Do you instantly, because I'm not a specialist in Byzantine chant at all, do you instantly recognize something here when you start singing? Or do we just study it? Because it would be interesting that there would be something, because I've heard examples chanting from Ruthenian manuscripts which can be compared directly to some Middle Byzantine chants. So there are written evidence of the contacts between the Balkans and the Ruthenians throughout these centuries. But you can
We see dot, a dot for and a quarter of note. No, not there. To the right.
To the right. So the chant begins here.
No, na, dina.
Okay. Yes,
there.
that's a dotted quarter, and then then we have the eighth. Yes. We see instantly that this is much quicker in pace, let us say, and this use is much more. It looks Byzantine from the beginning. It doesn't look Znameni at all. So it's an interesting case also in that sense. So the chant begins here. D is here, so it's me, isn't it? Do would be like here, and me.
E.
D would be here.
Me.
Me.
Mi, re, do. Mi, fa, sol. Fa, mi, re. Mi, fa, mi, re, do, re. Mi, re, do, si, do, re, mi. Fa, mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Mai repede, brief. Do, mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, re, do, mi, re, do, re, mi, re, do, re, mi, re, do, mi, re, si, la, si, do, re, mi,
Do, re, mi.
mi,
Isn't it?
do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, mi, fa, sol, se repeta. Sol, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, mi, do, re, mi. Acum
It goes
mi,
da 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 da. Doesn't
mi, re, do, si, do,
it?
re, do, si, pardon, re, do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, sol,
Non da se
si,
libero.
no, mi, do, re, mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do, mi, do, re, re, do, re, re, do, re, re, do, si, la.
Okay, then it goes on. But we can try. Yes, very good. Do you hear anything familiar here? Like anything? No, no. So this
No,
is
not,
okay.
not pattern.
So it's
Pattern, no. This pattern, but not in
yeah.
our chants.
Okay, so that's interesting. Many of those hymns are written in the margins. It's indicated that it is Gretskoye, so this is Greek, or this is Bulgarskoye, so it's Bulgarian. So some indication is always given. But let's sing this first page. We have 1 minute, so we do it now, and it's a very catchy tune, I would say. So don't hear me. So with the words, Dina is and there's a sorry. Ah, ne, and so on. Very nice. This could be chanted at liturgy right away. Yes. Okay. Okay, we have come to the end of this workshop. I was just wondering if you would like, because these I can't share the slides with you like right away because we are doing this online. But in case you would be interested in having these materials, please forward me your emails and I can send them to you. Of course, I'm using materials which I don't have the permission to publish. Photographs from manuscripts from libraries which I haven't purchased the photos from, for instance, but between scholars, I think exchanges are possible.
That would be nice. But how do we leave our email addresses in the chat box?
You can do it in the chat box. Yes, you can do it that way.
Is that all right?
Yes, and I will just keep sending you the files as we proceed. Okay. So please write them down and I will copy them immediately here.
or maybe in email a Google Drive or Google
We can-
Drive,
Yes,
or
if
not
it,
bigger than 10 megabytes.
yeah, I know. Yes, we can use Google Drive. Yes, that would be. I will just have a link which I will share with
Google
you.
Drive asks for permission for Gmail, so
Okay.
have to be careful.
Okay, but I think it functions. The link will function with everyone.
We'll see.
Yes,
Or attach it to email.
emails will be quite big. I think. So now I have 4 email addresses. Is still somebody writing it? We can also do this during the next workshop or before. You can ask for my email from the organizers. So I think, yes, okay.
Alternate mail for me. nicolae.cecilia.moldovan@gmail.com.
Okay, if you can write it. If you can write it.
He did write it. The last one is his.
Alternative
Your alternative. Okay, so yes. Okay, thank you very much. I think we have to conclude and also conclude the record. We are exchanging emails here for the record. But we will come back. Was it next week? Next Wednesday, wasn't it? Yes, Wednesday 20th.
Miercuri.
Yeah. And we will continue with the introduction to the manuscript type, which is using this square notation, the Irmologion manuscripts, and then more rehearsals. Thank you very much for this evening, for the active participation, and I look forward to next week with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you. Goodbye.